Welcome everybody back. I'm Frosted Fricks, and today we're gonna talk about our for exposure story. Now, it's a sad story, it really is, but it's interesting and it's a little long. So I hope you guys brought your popcorn, or at least listening to this in a podcast format, because this is something going to be really interesting and hopefully we learn a little bit from it. See, now let's jump back a little while ago when I am a fresh graduate from college with a degree in animation. Believe it or not, yes, I do have a baccalaureate degree in animation, and I'm a YouTuber. So I had just freshly gotten this degree. Me and my fiance went up to Toronto for Anime North, and it's always a fun thing. I used to go there all the time, but lately, the last few years, I have not because I don't want to. It's just it conflicts with a lot of other things that are going along with my schedule during that time. As we're walking around in there, I start talking to a guy in a booth, like I always do. I talk to everybody when I go anywhere. Honestly, my fiance hates that. But I do. I talk to everybody. And somehow the discussion of me being an animator, like we just got our diplomas, and it just came up. It came up, and I don't know how it came up. I can't remember exactly this, but when I said that, this guy's eyes lit up and he called a friend over, and his friend comes over to me and goes, "Hi, yeah, wow, you're animators. That's actually really cool." He gives us his email address to contact him. He said he might have some work for us in the future. I'm like, "Oh, well, shoot. Cool, that's really neat." Flash forward through Anime North, we get home, and I'm like, I'm gonna message this guy, see what the deal is. So I message him, and after talking with him for a little bit, he asked if I could do an animation for an event. It was a charity event called Minathon. I can't remember the exact year. All I know, it was for Minathon. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can try. Well, what do I get out of this? This is usually my first question when someone says, "Hey, I want you to do things." What was in it for me? So he tells me that it's going to be broadcast over a live stream that's going to have a couple 100,000 people watching. He said large YouTubers that are in the Minecraft community are going to be there, and he's going to hand them copies of the animation. I'm like, wow, that's such a great opportunity, because I'm a moron. So I said, maybe I might have a team to help me. So I gather a group of people, me and 3 other individuals, including my fiance, to start working on this project. Now, about a month goes by after going back and forth with him, and I asked him, like, "Hey man, I can't get started on anything. We can't storyboard anything unless I have a story. What is the story?" So he finally gets me a script. This script is short. It's one of the shortest ones, but I tried to make what I could out of it, and we made a storyboard, sent it to him. Now, in steps another individual who claims that they are a professional animator. Now, this professional animator has worked on things like, I can't say exact names, but the TV series, I'm going to rhyme it, Schmarboils, and he's also worked on Panklin, and he's also worked on Schmoody and the Weast. Yeah. But we'll get into that in a little bit. In steps this individual who says we can't get started on anything until we get the character design sheets. I'm like, okay, who's going to do that? He says, I will. All right, no problem. I'll get started on the backgrounds. Now, backgrounds for me take a while because I'm also a lighting and rendering expert, so I put the lighting and rendering in. And also I'm doing the textures and everything, working on a background, and I got a bunch of my other buddies. They're working on their own thing and just trying to get it mapped out in you're just trying to get frames down. And a few weeks go by, and I'm like, "Hey buddy, where are my character design sheets? We can't move forward without these. What's going on?" He says, "I'm going to need a little bit more time. Something came up." All right. Fine. So I mentioned it to this guy, and I'm like, "Hey, by the way, you haven't really mentioned to us when this is due." And apparently, at that point in time, it was due 2 months from that point. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the art of animation, but it takes a while especially when it's full animation. Half of it was hand-drawn, the other half was 3D. I had a scene that was completely 3D, and everyone else was completely hand-drawn for as far as I can remember. Now then, hand-drawn takes a while to do. You have to think of it this way. For every second on frame for a hand-drawn animation, there's anywhere between 24 and 30 individual images. That's a lot. That is a lot. Now then, in my storyboard, I had it mapped out where there was supposed to be this like spaceship that came down and shot a laser into a castle, and it was supposed to be the sequence to the next frame, which was pretty cool. I had it mapped out like that one scene from Independence Day. You know how Steven Spielberg had the little spaceship down now, had the worm's eye view, and yeah, that was my plan. So a few weeks go by again, and I just wanted to tell you that. I just wanted to tell you that because this is what's going to segue into the next thing. A few weeks go by, and I still don't got my character design sheets. And I have officially given this man 3 days to get back to me. 3 days. Because if he doesn't, I'm moving forward with the secondary character design sheets, which were done by my fiance. 3 days to get back to me. And I told the guy in charge of that, because now we have my team with a month and a third's worth of work that needed to be done for 3 or 4 months. And we had to squeeze it in a month and a third. He goes, okay. So 3 days go by, no character design sheets. Now I get on a Skype call with the professional animator, the guy in charge, and I think his dad, and we start talking, and I'm like, listen, I have a month and a week to put out a 5-second animation, and I still don't got my character design sheets, and we have less than enough time to do most of the things. So we're going to have to cut the frames down, or we're going to have to cut out a scene. And the guy on the other end, which was the professional animator, started spouting nonsense. Now, I had it on a live call where everyone could hear, and he started going into me saying that he didn't like how the storyboard was looking. He wanted to take a camera, which I had placed in a scene in 3D, and rotate it around the castle, and I told him, no, that doesn't work, because then you have to design another world around the castle. That takes the person out of the immersion, which is what this was supposed to be. You're redesigning a set, and that takes way too long to do. And you're not supposed to move a camera in 3D. Now, this individual, I did some extensive research. He's never actually worked in 3D, so to his defense, he probably didn't know that. He actually didn't know a lot of things when it came to animation, because after doing a little more research, I found that in the Barboils and Schmakelin and Smoothie and Feast, or Yeast or Weast, whatever I said, he wasn't the animator for any of those. In fact, he was the character design specialist for those, and they didn't even use his designs. And on top of that, he didn't work on them as a grand scale. He only worked on season 3 of Barboils, the Christmas version of Schmoody and the Weast. That went straight to VHS. And also never got used. So this dude's stuff never was used, and he called himself a professional. Well, okay, I'll give him this. He did work professionally in the field. He did get paid by these people to create these things that never got used. And here's the better part. Here's the best part of this. I called him out on it. On this phone call, I'm like, how can you tell me how to move a camera when I've studied people like Stanley Kubrick, Steven Spielberg? Name somebody, and I've studied how their camera works too, and you haven't produced a professional piece of work in your life outside of character design. This man, I tell you, if you could hear foam coming out of his mouth, it would have. He slammed the phone on us. By slammed, I mean he like turned off the Skype and left. And I'm like, and that's the professional you hired. I'm like, and if you would, I have a week and a month to get this animation done, we're going to move forward with my project. So he's like, okay, all yours. So we get done with it. We had to cut out the first scene, which was the castle scene, because there just wasn't enough time. There absolutely was not enough time to get that done, especially with all the ridiculous things we had to deal with. So we got most of it done. I would say in the animation department, we got 3 1/4 of it done. So beyond that, we started going further into more ridiculousness. Now then, I can talk about all this stuff because the contract with which I had signed had been broken. Now here's how. When we went to the convention, which we had permission to go into the green screen room, me and my fiance went there. It was a good time. They didn't pay for our hotel. We ended up paying for it for ourselves, even though we were guests. Awesome. We still went to this convention, and when we got there, part of our contract was the animation in question was going to be shown on the big screen and live broadcasted throughout all the convention, throughout the entire charity live stream. And it was going to wind up in the hands of major YouTubers who were very big in the Minecraft community, which would have been awesome. None of that happened. Not one thing happened. As a matter of fact, when I got there and questioned him where the animation was playing, he said, I don't have it. Now, mind you, I sent him 2 copies via Google Drive, 1 via email. I even brought in a physical copy because I had a feeling he would try that, and I always back up my copies on my computer. So I went there with my computer. We had everything all backed up, and I handed him a flash drive with the animation on it. I'm like, so we're gonna play it now? He goes, I guess. Begrudgingly, he puts my animation up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it plays for like the one time, and throughout the entire festival, we're like, why isn't this being broadcasted? I thought this was supposed to be broadcasted. Never once did it get broadcasted. And then I find out later from one of the people who were one of the larger YouTubers, you're like, yeah, I never got that animation. And they're like, honestly, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. The guy never even approached us. I'm like, oh, cool. Neat. So I talked to him. He goes, well, the animation wasn't, this was his excuse. This was the man's excuse that the animation wasn't good enough to give to these individuals. And that the, what was it? That we broke contract because we didn't do a complete animation. And I'm like, however, we had to follow your contract, we listened to your animator, and had we not kicked him out of the group, your professional animator got kicked out of a group of fresh off-the-boat animators because he's bad. Had we not done that, you wouldn't have gotten anything. By the time I got back from this wonderful little chaos, I talked to my friends who helped out, and they're still really good friends of mine. I wish we gotten more in contact with them, but I talked to my friends, and me and my fiance discussed everything with them. The guy completely lied to us, 100%. Ended up using us for a free animation, posted it on his website, and this is all very unfortunate. So he lied to us. Essentially, at the end of the day, the contract was broken. Now, since there was no money involved, you can't really sue him over a an NDA that was broken on his end, and no money was to be gained in the first place, so there can't be any legal... Shut up! So there can't be any legal action with anything in regards to this type of matter. Still, this goes to show that no matter how good it sounds, don't take these type of things. I think I have the animation hidden somewhere on this YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it's still live, but I don't even know what it's called. That's my issue. I have over 800 videos. I have no idea what it's called. It's somewhere on here. It might be private, it might not. So I'm going to let you guys have fun looking for that. But this was probably one of the worst things that happened. And especially for people who just got their animation degree, it was so distracting. It was so bad. And in a lot of cases, I felt like I had led people that trusted me astray with this great idea of us possibly getting in front of other individuals. It sounded good. It sounded good, but it wasn't. At the end of the day, we were used and then tossed aside. And best thing I can say for anyone just getting out of a degree or just graduating or anything like that, if someone approaches you with this stuff and wants to shortchange you, tell them to go screw themselves, because you don't need to get put through that nonsense. No one does. That was more stress than anyone needs for such a short amount of time. And honestly, at the end of the day, you get nothing out of it. You get nothing but a headache out of it and possibly ruin relationships. So I wouldn't do that. So if anyone ever approaches you, ask for a free thing like that, no. Absolutely not. Not a chance. So that is my recommendation for you. To look into yourselves and go, gee, I think this guy's trying to take me for a ride. And then you have to use your own intuition to move forward. But most cases, they're just trying to use you. So I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine. Again, this is my own little R for exposure type of video. I thought that'd be interesting to tell you my experience, which is why I get so passionate about these R for exposure videos, because I've been used like these people. So that's my experience. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section below. Go ahead and hit that like button. Also, I heard subscribing does a really cool thing where it tells you that I'm uploading neat, fun little things every now and then, where I'm reading things and I'm playing video games, you know, those type of things, especially when you ring that little bell. So if you could do that for me and then share this video with your friends who might be experiencing something that might be along this line, that'd be awesome. So tell me what you guys think again in the comment section below. I've been Frosty Fricks, reminding you to stay frosty and keep moving forward, even if you got used.